A man can spend 20 years becoming successful and still destroy his chances with one conversation. Not because he's too old, because he walks in trying to borrow youth instead of standing on the value of maturity. That tension is everywhere now. You see an older man with a younger woman, and people rush to explain it with money, ego, novelty, fantasy, status. Sometimes those things are part of the story. Sometimes they're not. But what almost nobody wants to admit is that age itself is not the deciding force. Energy is, character is, emotional weight is. Whether a man brings steadiness or neediness into the room. And if you're here for truth instead of performance, subscribe now, because this is for people who want clarity over cliches, discipline over delusion, and real growth over empty advice. Here's what this really means. Successful age gap relationships are not built on an older man getting a younger woman. They are built when two adults meet and the older man does not become a caricature of himself. Not the desperate guy trying to prove he can still compete. Not the controlling guy trying to dominate the gap. Not the insecure guy using resources to cover a lack of substance. The relationship works when maturity becomes an asset, not a disguise. That's the misconception. A lot of men think attraction in age gap relationships comes from age itself. They think the number does the work. They think being older automatically makes them more desirable, more interesting, more masculine, more in control. So they lean on the wrong things: money without presence, confidence without humility, experience without emotional intelligence. They assume younger women are looking for an authority figure, a provider, a finished product, someone who already has all the answers. That fantasy is lazy. The hard truth is that being older only helps if you have actually done something with the years. Time does not make a man deeper. It reveals whether he used life to grow or just to repeat himself more convincingly. A younger woman may notice stability. She may appreciate direction. She may value calm, consistency, decisiveness, protection, emotional steadiness, but none of that is guaranteed by age. Plenty of older men are still boys with better watches, still reactive, still thirsty for validation, still trying to impress instead of connect, still confused about whether they want a partner or an audience, and women feel that quickly, especially younger women who've already seen too many older men arrive with a polished exterior and a hungry interior. The suit says one thing, the energy says another. The words sound composed, but the attention feels sticky, compliments are too loaded, curiosity feels strategic, generosity comes with pressure, but he acts like he's offering wisdom, but what he really wants is reassurance that he still matters. That's not maturity, that's emotional debt collecting interest. The psychological root of this is deeper than dating. A lot of men reach a certain age and quietly realize they built competence but not inner peace. They know how to earn, they know how to perform, they know how to carry responsibility. But they never fully dealt with insecurity, loneliness, aging, regret, comparison, or the fear of becoming invisible. So when attraction enters the picture, they don't pursue connection. They pursue recovery. Recovery of youth, recovery of desirability, recovery of some version of themselves they feel slipping away. And that pressure contaminates everything. Because now the younger woman is no longer a person. She becomes proof. Proof that he's still desirable. Proof that time hasn't won. Proof that he still has options. Proof that he's still that guy. That is where many age gap relationships start rotting before they begin. Not because of the age difference, but because one person is trying to use the other as medicine. No relationship can carry that weight for long. And when that desperation is hidden under polished behavior, it becomes even more dangerous. A man tells himself he's composed, but he's over-texting. He tells himself he's confident, but he's constantly seeking signs. He tells himself he's generous, but he's keeping score. He tells himself he's leading, but he's actually controlling. He thinks he's offering certainty when he's really trying to manage his own anxiety through her responses. That's not leadership, that's fear. A successful age gap relationship demands something many men do not want to hear. The younger woman should feel freer around you, not smaller around you. Safer, not managed. Seen, not shaped. Respected, not studied. If the age difference becomes a tool to overpower, instruct, correct, or subtly parent, attraction dies underneath compliance. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. Because adult women, younger or older, do not want to be absorbed into a man's unresolved identity crisis. Think about the real-life cost when a man gets this wrong. He becomes performative. He tries too hard to sound current, too hard to seem unfazed, too hard to prove he belongs in her world. He borrows language that isn't his. He hides his age or overplays it. He turns every interaction into a silent competition with younger men. He stops listening because he's busy presenting. He stops being curious because he's busy being impressive. And what could have been grounded becomes awkward, forced, and faintly sad. Because everybody can feel when a man is not standing in his own life. Then there's the opposite mistake. Some older men assume the gap makes them automatically superior. They become condescending. They call it guidance. They dismiss her perspective. They interpret her differences as immaturity instead of individuality. They expect gratitude for things she never asked for. They think being older excuses emotional laziness. It doesn't. Respect is not owed because you've lived longer. It's earned by how you carry what life gave you. That's the perspective shift. The secret is not how older men attract younger women. The secret is how a mature man becomes undeniably attractive to an adult woman who values depth, steadiness, and self-respect. That difference matters. One question is tactical. The other is transformational. When a man asks, "How do I attract?" he often becomes manipulative. When a man asks, "Who am I becoming in this connection?" he becomes clear. And clarity is attractive. Picture the kind of man who actually embodies this. He is not dramatic. He is not trying to relive 25. He takes care of himself, but not out of panic. His body is maintained because he respects it. His style is clean because he respects the room. He speaks slowly enough to think. He does not flood silence with nervous charm. He has built a life with real structure. So he doesn't need instant emotional payment from anyone. If he's interested in a younger woman, he does not make that interest heavy. He doesn't sell himself as an upgrade. He doesn't rush intimacy to prove he still can. He notices her mind, her pace, her values, her emotional patterns. He lets attraction exist without trying to squeeze certainty out of it. That man is calm in a way that cannot be faked for long. He is playful, but not juvenile. Protective, but not possessive. Experienced, but still teachable. Direct, but never coercive. Interested, but never needy. And most importantly, he is not trying to extract identity from the relationship. He already has one. That is why he stands out, because real maturity does not announce itself. It regulates the atmosphere. People breathe easier around it. A younger woman who has spent time around chaos, inconsistency, shallow attention, boys pretending to be men, or men pretending to be saviors will feel the difference almost immediately, not because she is dazzled by age, because she recognizes steadiness. And steadiness is rare. If you want the practical shift, start by removing the poison from your own approach. Stop treating younger women like a category. That alone changes your energy. The moment you start talking about how younger women are, you flatten reality and make yourself lazy. There is no substitute for actually seeing the person in front of you. Her maturity, her motives, her boundaries, her values, her season of life. If you skip that and lead with assumptions, you're not wise, you're projecting. Then ask yourself a harder question. If the age gap disappeared, would what you bring still be attractive? Your presence, your emotional control, your standards, your humor, your discipline, your ability to listen. Your ability to make a woman feel respected without making her feel handled. If those things are weak, age will not save you. If those things are strong, age does not need to be hidden. Move slower than your insecurity wants to. That matters. A man who rushes often thinks he is being bold. Sometimes he is just afraid that if he doesn't force momentum, reality will reveal he has no natural footing. Slow down. Let interest breathe. Let her choose too. Let the connection reveal whether there is compatibility beyond novelty. Chemistry is easy to overrate when the dynamic feels exciting, but excitement is not structure. Attraction is not alignment. And if you confuse those, the relationship becomes beautiful on the outside and exhausting underneath. Be honest about the actual challenges too. Different life stages are real, different social circles, timelines, expectations, energy levels, future plans, even public scrutiny. Pretending those things don't matter is childish. Using them as excuses to become rigid is also childish. Mature people talk. Mature people clarify. Mature people don't hide behind charm when a real conversation is required. That's discipline. And if you sense yourself becoming possessive, suspicious, overly corrective, or obsessed with comparison, don't romanticize it, name it. That's insecurity. If you feel the need to constantly prove your relevance, name it. That's fear. If you feel resentful that she has youth you can't reclaim, name it. That's grief. Men get into trouble when they refuse to admit what they are actually feeling. Unnamed emotions become behavior, and behavior always tells the truth eventually. A strong age gap relationship, when it is healthy, is not built on fantasy. It is built on mutual respect, adult consent, emotional clarity, aligned values, and the humility to know that attraction alone is not enough. Not enough for trust, not enough for longevity, not enough for peace. So no. The answer is not to become slicker, not to memorize lines, not to exaggerate your lifestyle, not to use experience as leverage. Become more real, more settled, more precise, more honest, more disciplined in how you carry desire. Because desire without discipline becomes pressure, and pressure kills what patience could have built. This is your identity reset. Stop trying to win youth. Start embodying maturity. Stop trying to impress adult women. Start becoming a man whose presence makes respect feel natural. Stop using age as a weapon, a shield, or a sales pitch. Use your years as evidence that you learned how to live with depth, restraint, and self-command. If you cannot offer that, the gap will expose you. If you can offer that, the gap does not need to be explained every second. The goal is not to be chosen because you are older. The goal is to be chosen because your life has made you clear, stable, and deeply trustworthy. That is a different kind of attraction. Quieter? Stronger? Harder to fake? Harder to shake? And if you want to keep building that kind of presence with people who value clarity, discipline, and growth over ego, subscribe now and step into this community.